This video provides a legal and historical analysis of Artsakh, focusing on its legal history, treaties, and the collapse of the First Armenian Republic from 1918 to 1921. We will explore the complex legal status of this disputed territory. Welcome to Artsakh Cases, an initiative to stand up for Artsakh and examine the legal arguments surrounding its sovereignty. The core of this video is Artsakh, legal history, treaties, and the collapse of the First Armenian Republic, 1918 to 1921, which offers a legal and historical analysis of sovereignty and illegality. Our learning objectives are to understand Artsakh's legal status, examine British intervention, analyze non-state actors' roles, trace illegal actions leading to Artsakh's placement in the Azerbaijan SSR, and evaluate modern implications for sovereignty claims. Artsakh matters today because of the ancient and continuous Armenian presence. Claims for self-determination are an ongoing legal issue, and Soviet-era borders remain highly disputed. Modern claims have relevance at the International Court of Justice. This 1920 map shows Armenia and Artsakh within Anatolia, highlighting Artsakh's key geographical position, the historical borders of Wilsonian Armenia, and contextualizing the region for our analysis. Artsakh's roots trace back to ancient Armenian settlements. Continuous Armenian habitation defines the region's historical identity, and its cultural heritage is deeply Armenian, documented as ancient and continuous. The First Republic of Armenia, from 1918 to 1920, claimed Artsakh. However, it was not formally included in the Republic of Armenia, complicating its legal status and leaving its position ambiguous. The First Armenian Republic claimed Artsakh from 1918 to 1920, yet Artsakh was not formally included in the Republic of Armenia. This ambiguity complicated its sovereignty and left its legal status unclear during this period. The Treaty of Batum, signed on June 4, 1918, significantly reduced Armenian territory. The First Republic of Armenia soon collapsed in December 1920, leading to Soviet annexation of the territory. The Treaty of Batum was signed on June 4, 1918, between the Ottomans and Armenia. Its provisions severely reduced Armenian territory and contributed to the eventual collapse of the First Republic. The Treaty of Batum was void and illegitimate, signed under extreme duress and coercion by the Ottoman military. International law deemed such treaties not legally binding, creating serious long-term consequences for Armenia's borders. The collapse of the Ottoman and Russian empires created a power vacuum in the Caucasus. This era saw the rise of many new independent republics. Key Caucasus treaties included the Treaty of Sèvres, which outlined a greater independent Armenia. Other treaties, like Moscow and Kars, significantly reduced Armenia's territorial claims and established modern boundaries between the Soviet republics. The Ninth Army's actions directly challenged Allied authority, resisting the Allied occupation of the Ottoman Empire. This refusal invalidated British governance over the region and defied post-World War I treaty obligations. British authorities governed Artsakh post-World War I. Their intervention was based on post-Ottoman governance, but non-state military actors successfully invalidated this rule. Artsakh was placed in the Azerbaijan SSR after the British withdrawal. British governance over Artsakh was invalidated as non-state military actors defied post-World War I treaty obligations. The British withdrawal created a power vacuum, and Artsakh was subsequently placed in the Azerbaijan Soviet Socialist Republic. Artsakh's placement in the Azerbaijan SSR followed the invalidation of British governance. The British withdrawal created a power vacuum, and this placement occurred after the collapse of the First Republic of Armenia. The Soviet annexation followed the collapse of the First Republic and occurred during a power vacuum in the Caucasus. These illegal actions ultimately led to Artsakh's placement in the Azerbaijan SSR. The Soviet annexation created an enduring legal conflict that fuels modern sovereignty claims. Soviet-era borders remain highly disputed under international law, and modern claims related to Artsakh have high ICJ relevance. The Soviet annexation of Artsakh created an enduring legal conflict. Artsakh's history fuels modern sovereignty claims, as Soviet-era borders remain highly disputed under international law, and the region's history has high relevance for modern international courts. Modern claims related to Artsakh have high International Court of Justice relevance. Soviet-era borders are disputed, and Artsakh's history continues to fuel modern sovereignty claims, stemming from the enduring legal conflict created by the Soviet annexation. The central question is who had the legal authority to assign Artsakh between 1920 and 1921. This period was marked by chaos and competing interests following the collapse of empires. The Treaty of Sèvres, signed in August 1920 by the legal Ottoman government, formally recognized the Republic of Armenia. It outlined a greater independent Armenia and established its borders. The Wilsonian Arbitration Award was an independent decision signed by President Wilson. It outlined the final borders of Wilsonian Armenia and formally recognized the Republic of Armenia. The Treaty of Sèvres is important, as the only treaty signed by a recognized Ottoman authority and the only one involving Allied powers and U.S. arbitration. It legally establishes Armenia's borders. British forces formally shut down the Ottoman Parliament in Istanbul during the Allied occupation. This happened just 6 months before the Treaty of Sèvres and significantly impacted the legal authority of the Ottomans. The British undermined the Ottoman government's legal authority by shutting down the Ottoman Parliament before Sèvres. Non-state military actors then defied post-World War I treaty obligations, invalidating British governance over the region. British actions undermined the Treaty of Sèvres and weakened the Ottoman government's authority by failing to honor their treaty obligations. This contributed to the collapse of the First Armenian Republic. The Treaty of Sèvres was rejected by the Turkish national movement and was never ratified. British actions undermined the treaty and allowed the Turkish War of Independence to secure new borders for Turkey. The Treaty of Sèvres was never formally ratified due to the British government. The Turkish national movement rejected it, and the Turkish War of Independence secured new borders for Turkey. British actions undermined the treaty and weakened the Ottomans. The Turkish national movement successfully rejected the Treaty of Sèvres. The subsequent War of Independence secured new borders, established by the Treaty of Kars. The Sèvres Treaty was never ratified, partially due to undermining British actions. The Treaty of Moscow was signed between Russia and the Grand National Army of Turkey. The Treaty of Kars established the modern Caucasus boundaries, forced on Armenia. Both treaties defined borders between the Soviet republics and significantly reduced Armenia's territory. The Treaty of Sèvres established Armenia's only legal borders. Later, the Turkish War of Independence secured new borders. The treaties of Moscow and Kars illegally reduced Armenia's territory, as they were between non-state actors. The Treaty of Sèvres is the only one establishing Armenia's legal borders, signed by a recognized Ottoman authority. The Wilsonian Arbitration Award outlined the final borders. Later treaties were illegal and reduced Armenia's territory. The Treaty of Sèvres established Armenia's only legal borders. Later treaties illegally reduced Armenia's territory. Soviet annexation created an unresolved legal conflict over Artsakh, and modern sovereignty claims have relevance in international courts. The Soviet annexation created an enduring legal conflict. Artsakh's history fuels modern sovereignty claims in courts, as Soviet-era borders remain highly disputed under international law. These modern claims have high ICJ relevance. Artsakh's only legal borders were established by the Treaty of Sèvres. Subsequent illegal treaties significantly reduced Armenia's claims. Soviet annexation led to an unresolved legal conflict, and modern sovereignty claims have high ICJ relevance. Soviet annexation created an enduring, unresolved legal conflict. Artsakh's history fuels modern sovereignty claims in international courts. Soviet-era borders remain highly disputed, and modern claims related to Artsakh have high ICJ relevance. All claims against Artsakh resulted from the Grand National Army, led by Mustafa Kemal against the Ottoman government. This movement was an unrecognized non-state rebel force and was not internationally legitimate. The Grand National Army was an unrecognized, non-state rebel force led by Mustafa Kemal. It was not internationally legitimate, and all subsequent claims against Artsakh resulted from this army's actions against the Ottoman government. The Grand National Army was an unrecognized, non-state rebel force and therefore lacked international legitimacy. It was led by Mustafa Kemal against the Ottoman government, and all claims against Artsakh stemmed from this illegitimate force. In 1920, the Grand National Army illegally invaded the Republic of Armenia, which was already devastated by genocide. Armenia was militarily overwhelmed and received no Allied support during the invasion. The Grand National Army was an unrecognized, non-state rebel force and thus internationally illegitimate. Mustafa Kemal led this movement against the Ottoman government, and all claims against Artsakh resulted from this group. Since the Grand National Army was an illegitimate, non-state rebel force, all resulting claims against Artsakh and any forced treaties are illegal. This is because the army lacked international legitimacy or legal recognition.